Well, joining me now is NHS Doctor Basha Mukherjee. Mukherjee.
Yes.
About that, Basha. That was like a hand grenade in the script suddenly. I should have asked you that. Basha Mukherjee. Basha, welcome. Now talk to me, what is E. coli?
So E. coli is a bacteria that normally does live in your gut anyway. But occasionally there is the pathogenic form, which means it's a disease-causing form. In this case, that's what they're founding is STEC, sugar toxin-producing E. coli. This toxin is the thing that we need to be worried about because it can cause potentially really harmful side effects like bloody diarrhea. And in very young people and those who are immunocompromised, it can make them very unwell and even cause kidney failure and other things like that. So,
wow, so that's quite a serious bug. And the natural occurring one in the stomach doesn't turn into that. Do you have to ingest it for it to become the disease-causing version?
Yes, so most of E. coli is passed on to the fecal-oral route. The clue is in the name. You should have ingested something containing E. coli. Generally, it needs to be infected with something from feces, essentially. And we still don't know where this is coming from on this occasion. But in the past, there has been occasions where it's been in salads, in lettuce. It's been in the temps as well.
Well, that doesn't surprise me with all this water being sewage being discharged into the water. Does cooking food kill it?
Yes, so it's not the bacteria we're talking about. We're talking about the toxin. We want to break down the toxin. And about 70 degrees is about that cut-off point. If you heat food to about that much, you think that we can destroy the toxin. But a lot of the foods that this is implicated in, like beef, for example, and like burgers, even if you heat it, sometimes there's still a little bit left over because it doesn't always heat thoroughly in all parts of the food. So it is one of those catch-22
and you often hear in things like cheese and stuff like that. So things that you don't really cook when you get them. You can cook it, but you probably wouldn't.
But the reassuring thing is that it is a self-limiting illness, which means that for most people who are healthy, they probably will clear it by themselves. So actually, even though there's 100 cases, I think there's still very simple measures that people can take, making sure they're washing their hands. That's something we learned through COVID, and it's still applicable in all diseases, washing your hands. If you've made contact with someone who's been unwell and then you become unwell, that's a bit alarming. So maybe limiting your contact with food and, preparing for other people, or even contact with people who are high risk, as we said, the really old, the really young, the immunocompromised. And even, if you do develop diarrhea, maybe not rushing to a pharmacy or rushing to the GP, calling them first, because these are areas where we do see much more immunocompromised people, and you could be putting other people at risk, essentially.
And do we have any idea as to where it's actually coming from? Because, and if we don't, why are they not saying something? Because they must have some idea, surely.
Well, they think that it's from a food distribution system because it's...
Well, what does that mean?
It means that must be a food that's been sent all across the country because there's been cases from all across the country. Generally, when there's an outbreak, we see it's usually in a small group of people who may have made contact from a small source. But this is all over the country, and it's affected all different age ranges. So it's most likely come from a food source that's been distributed. But in the past, we have seen it from water sources and unwashed food sources and uncooked food sources. So those are still things that you can be wary of.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much. And if people catch it, don't go to a pharmacy. Maybe call up your doctor and your GP and find out what you should do from there.
Yes, I would say that most of the time, if you have typical diarrhea, it usually gets better by itself because your gut is a tube. So usually the infection makes its way out by itself. The things to worry about would be if you develop bloody diarrhea, if your diarrhea is lasting more than 7 days, and if you start becoming really unwell in terms of becoming dehydrated, feeling very drowsy, making sure you're keeping on top of your hydration with simple measures like oral rehydration therapy, or you can even make this at home. You don't have to buy it necessarily, just salt, sugar with water, keeping yourself hydrated. Those are the measures to do.
I thought Coca-Cola or Pepsi Cola are quite good for that, aren't they? They have salt and sugar and water. I've heard that they're quite good rehydration. Probably, maybe not. Don't take my advice. She's a doctor. I listen to her. Thank you very much, Basha Mukherjee. Thank you very much, Basha Mukherjee. There you go.
Thank you.
She's an NHS doctor. You're with me. I'm Nana Queer. This is GB News.